Good evening and welcome to tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals virtual meeting. You're all here tonight seeking relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinances, and it's our job to try to help you achieve the relief you are requesting whenever possible. It's up to you to provide this board with precise and accurate information so we can make a decision based on the facts presented. This board must consider the 5 area variance considerations in order to render a decision, and they are as follows. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Number 2, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Number 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the variance. Procedures for tonight's meeting. Mr. Donadio will be calling the cases. After your case is announced by Mr. Donadio, the moderator will connect you to the meeting so you can present your case to the board. Once you have completed your presentation, if anyone on the board or in the planning department has any questions, they will be asked. Then any interested party who would like to speak on this case will be given one opportunity to do so. Then the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any questions and concerns, after which the case will be closed. Once the public hearing is closed, no further information will be accepted concerning the case. You can contact the planning department after 12 p.m. tomorrow for the status of your case. We do have 2 adjournments. The first adjournment is case 18613, B9 owner, LLC, care of Logistics Real Estate, LLC. That has been adjourned to January 11th. And the second case is case 18479, 20 Sunken Meadow Holdings, LLC. That has been adjourned to January 25th.
All ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The first case on the agenda, case number 18615, Matt Batista, 67 Forest Avenue, Wisconsin. The location of the property is the east side of Forest Avenue, 325 feet south of Laurelton Avenue. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum front yard on Forest Avenue from 40 feet to 38 feet, which is existing, for a proposed 1,305 square foot second floor addition.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. We've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing pursuant to your procedures this afternoon at the planning department. As the board can see, this is an application for a second floor addition. And the reason why we're asking for a variance is when the house was built, it was built 38 feet from the property line rather than the 40 foot required. So it's an existing 38 foot setback, and we're just asking to do the second floor on top of the first floor. It will not be further encroaching on the 38 feet that exist.
Mr. Tremarco, we can't hear you.
Oh boy, I'm talking to nothing here.
You just try not to go into the corner of your screen.
Oh, you didn't hear anything I said?
No, we did, but you're going in and out. As you go closer, it becomes
Okay.
muffled and difficult to hear.
Okay, so in any event, the app, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
The application is for a setback variance basically of 2 feet. The existing house was already non-conforming at 38 feet. We'd like to put a second floor addition on. It will not encroach any further than the 38 feet already existing. There is no other variances requested. We meet the FAR and all other conditions of the R10. So we ask the board for its favorable consideration. The variance would not have any adverse effect on adjoining properties. The request really is not substantial, given the fact that the house exists at 38 feet and there are no other variances. It will not have any adverse effect on the environment. It's developed as a single-family dwelling with the same family living there, just expanding bedrooms and such. The house was constructed with that setback, as I said before, so it's not something that we created. So we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Tramarko. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No question.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No? Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
If anybody from the audience would like to be heard, please click the raise hand button so that I can click on you. I am not seeing any raised hands. Going again, would anybody like to speak? All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm not hearing or seeing anybody.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Could I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, case number 18616, Michael and Noel Ciminello, 30 Branglebrink Road, St. James. The location of the property, the north side of Branglebrink Road, 1,883 feet northwest of 50 Acre Road. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting a special exception to permit temporary living quarters for parents. A variance of a special exception standard to increase the size of a temporary living quarters from 1,000 square feet to 1,426 square feet. Variance to increase the maximum height from 15 feet to 17 feet for a proposed 1,426 square foot pool house. A variance to increase the maximum height of a fence from 6 feet to 10 feet for an existing 10-foot fence.
Have the applicant, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Vincent Tramarko. I represent the applicant. We've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing pursuant to the requirements to the planning board this afternoon. As the board knows, this is a special exception to allow, in this case, the parents of Mrs. Ciminello, Noel Ciminello, to have living quarters on the property. You'll notice that this is a rather large piece of property, approximately 2.5 acres, more than sufficient to house the pool house combination apartment for Mrs. Ciminello's parents. We are asking for a variance to increase the size and height of the pool house, but again, given the fact that it's 2.5 times, well, 1.5 times more the size of the required zoning in the district, we don't feel it would have an adverse effect on anybody in the area. And of course, it's if the town decide to move somewhere else, then the special exception requirement will of necessity be removed. The other issue is, or request is for a 10-foot high fence variance for a sports court that's existing. I just like to comment that again, it's on a 2.5 acre piece. The property, the closest part of that sports court fence is 25 feet from the neighbor, but the neighbor is not near that sports court at all. The other thing that I'd like to bring out is it's not a chain link fence. It happens to be a fabric type fence that is kind of used like for tennis courts, you know, the net between the two players. And it's a blackish color, so it's really kind of undiscernible in the whole scheme of things. And given the fact again as to how large this property is, we don't feel that it'd have an adverse effect on any neighbors. It certainly won't have any effect on the environment. And yes, the sports court was put up. However, again, the lot is such a large lot considering what the zoning is in the area, so that we don't think it would have any kind of effect on any neighbor. The other thing that I would like to bring out is that although the sports court was built, you know, without the benefit of a variance for the fence. Again, if you look at it from any angle, you really can't notice it, and it's not even as heavy as you would have a chain link fence, since it's I guess the only way to describe it, it's like a fabric that you know would contain the whatever would be a tennis ball or a basketball or whatever. I know that the planning department recommended approval of the special exception with those special exception variances. However, apparently they had a concern and didn't recommend approval of the sports court. But I think, you know, given the circumstances and the large size of the property, it certainly wouldn't have any effect on any of the neighbors. So we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If the board has any questions, you can ask me, and I have Mr. and Mrs. Ciminello watching this Zoom meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Tramarko. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No question.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Planning?
As Mr. Tramarko stated, the planning department did prepare a planning advisory report, which all of the board members have a copy of, and we did recommend approval for the special exception for the temporary living quarters, the increase in the floor area, and the increase in height of the accessory structure that it's being constructed within. We did recommend denial of the fence because it represents about a 67% increase in the maximum permitted height of a fence within the town. And our concern would that be, should the board choose to grant approval, that it could set a precedent for other applications for fences throughout the town.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Once again, if anybody in the audience would like to be heard, click the raise hand button. It should be at the bottom of the screen under the reactions tab.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello?
My name is Craig Fiener. I am the person who, by Mr. Tramarko, is being presumed to have no adverse effects from this matter.
Excuse me, sir. Before you start, could you introduce yourself, spell your last name so we get it correct for the record, and give your
Craig
address,
Fina,
and give your address.
3 Friends Way, head of the harbor.
All right, thank you, sir.
So,
Go ahead.
I am the gentleman that apparently has no adverse effects to Mr. Tramarco being building Madison Square Garden in my backyard. Where would you like me to start?
Wherever you'd like.
Well, my first problem would be was when they first started clearing this property, they basically cleared every single tree up to the property line, okay? Every single tree, okay? Every single tree is still in a pile that is probably between 40 feet wide and 30 feet wide, and probably about 15 feet tall, that is clearly filled with rats, and I've called the town many, many times about, okay? And then when you clear a property, you clear every tree to the property line, okay? I used to live in the woods. Now I live and I'm looking at a sports museum back there, tennis courts lit up like Madison Square Garden when I live in head of the harbor. I've made my voice known about this problem several times. I've gone to people at the town. I have their names. I sent them over there. That is a rat-infested pile of trees that's just been sitting there for years. That nothing's been done. I've gone over and spoke to Mrs. Noel and her husband, and spoke to them about maybe putting some trees. It took them 4 years to put a berm of trees to create some privacy again. When they put the trees in, finally, they were 2 feet trees, 2 feet tall. Okay. Where I actually offered to give some money and so we could create some barrier. I wound up spending thousands of dollars to put some trees so I can have a barrier. Now you want to hire another pool house and more fencing? So I feel very like how someone could presume that I have how it's not affecting me when it is affecting me. It's affected me so much that I have called numerous times and complained about that. So I don't think Mr. Tramarco has done his research, because he probably would have reached out to me if he knew that it wasn't affecting me at all. So, I'm not really, I don't know how I can dispute this, but what are we doing? Like, I didn't move to Dix Hills. I moved to head of the harbor. And I think the integrity of this area and what I'm paying in taxes should be preserved.
Okay. A question, sir. You indicated there's lights on that sports court?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, which I also went to the town about that as well. So I have Madison Square Garden in the middle of head of the harbor. Pull us up on Google Earth. Do me that favor. Look where I was. I was in the middle of the woods. You cleared every single tree off the entire property line. Every single tree. There's not even a few left to create a barrier. I'm staring at a giant mansion. God bless them. But you could have created a little bit of a barrier. And now you want to put another structure up, a higher basketball court. Like, what are we doing? How did you guys get this past you guys to begin with? Because I made the calls. His name is Lorenzo. He works for the town. I went to him specifically, and he went there on the record to talk to these people about this. And all of my concerns were just pushed away. Mr. Tramarco, did they explain any of that to you, that I had done that to you? That I had called there and gone there? Hello?
All right, we'll bring Mr. Tramarco back.
Okay.
What else?
But well, I just like to understand, like, I'm paying a lot of taxes, and how can someone get away with building a basketball court with lights that lights up? Like, you know what it's like over here with no street lights and everything in this area? You guys aware? Hello?
Yeah.
Are you guys aware of the way it's like the setting over here? I don't know if you know where I am.
I think we're all aware of where you live.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, I see, because then you can probably understand where I'm coming from, right?
We can
Like I
understand.
went
your
over there and
complaint.
talked to this guy and said, "Sir, listen, you got a rat infection here. You want me to help you get rid of the wood?" Like I have asked, for so many times. I'm just flabbergasted that you're ready to get to have more sports courts and more extensions from a house that was just built.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
I don't know. Am I missing anything?
Well, you covered the tree removal, the lights, the height of the tennis court, and the proposed height of.
I mean, is this pile of wood back there, is that a health hazard? Like, as I've gone to the town a couple times about it. And you know what, a pile of wood that's that big, and I'm not exaggerating, that is just a rat home. Anyway, okay.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing a hand raised. The person has their name as iPhone 2. If you would like to speak, go ahead. Once again, whoever's named iPhone 2, who has their hand raised, can speak.
It looks like they're muted.
Muted.
Okay, you should have the option
Hello?
to unmute yourself. Oh, yep, we hear you now.
Hi, yes. This is Noel Ciminello, the owner of 30 Branglebrink.
Okay, fine. Okay, Nicole.
It's Noel.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to clear up a few facts. We are not adding anything to the sport court exists already. There is one light on the sport court that faces away from our neighbors. It faces our house. However, we do have 2 lights on our house that light up our backyard, but they're not on all the time. We don't leave them on all the time. They go. We shut them off if the kids are not on, the court, which typically they're not at night. But on occasion when we have people over, the lights are on to light up the backyard. We did not take every single tree down. We did take, they did clear out a lot of trees, but we did not take every tree down. When the town came to me about putting up trees and that the neighbor offered to pay half, I said he was free to put trees up if he wanted to at his cost, because at the time we did not have the money to put into the trees. We did that, my kids and my husband. It took us a while, yes, but we have 5 children. My husband's very busy, so we weren't doing it. We did what we could afford to do at the time. The pool house is for my parents who are elderly and need our assistance. My father is blind and my mother uses a walker. She's 80 years old. It's just for our, in order to help my parents. So that's all that's being added is the pool house. We're not adding anything to the sport court or adding another one. I just wanted to clarify that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on this application?
Anyone else would like to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, I'm not seeing any other hands raised.
All right, Mr. Tramarko?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, just to add what Noel Ciminello added, I don't think that it would be a problem if there are truly trees that are piled up and stacked up. I think I can speak for the Ciminellos that they will get rid of those trees. Certainly, I don't know about whether they're infested with any type of vermin. I don't think that Dr. and Mr. and Mrs. Ciminello would allow that kind of a situation to exist, given the fact that she has children and hopefully her parents will be allowed to move in. The sports court isn't a major thing. If it be necessary, we could drop it down to 6 feet. I don't see it being a big difference, given the fact that you probably can't see it. I know that the gentleman is concerned about the height of the pool house slash apartment unit for the parents, but it's just 2 feet higher than what's permissible. And given the fact that that's really in the middle of the property, and I don't think, 15 feet or 17 feet really makes a difference to the eye. Given the fact that how large this property is, we feel that certainly the proposed use of a pool house slash apartment for the parents is a necessary thing. And again, if we have to, we could lower the fence. And it's really not a fence, as I said, it's a fabric. So, well, I think Ms. Ciminello answered all the other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to close the application, please?
I'll move. Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm on mute, right? So I have, I'm on mute.
Now,
The next case on the agenda, case number 18618. David N. Lane Shapiro, 159 Boxwood Drive, Kings Park. The location of the property is the north side of Boxwood Drive, 690 feet west of Knight Lane. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the required rear yard from 25% to 51%, which is existing, to permit an existing 6-foot PVC fence to be 2 feet to the top of a 3-foot high retaining wall, to decrease the minimum setback of a 3-foot high retaining wall from 3 feet to 2 feet on the northwest property line, and from 3 feet to 0 on the northeast property line.
can I have the applicant, please?
Hi, this is Christina Bravin with Morano Expediting.
All right, and all the paperwork has been handed in, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, fine, power of attorney. Okay. Can you just state your name again? I'm sorry. And
Sure.
Your address for the record?
Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, 2938 Hempstead Turnpike, Levittown, New York.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So we're requesting permission to maintain the paver patio, increasing the maximum allowed paved surface in the rear yard from 25% to 51%, to allow a 6-foot PVC fence to be 2-foot setback from the top of a 3-foot block retaining wall, to decrease the minimum setback of a 3-foot block wall from 3 feet to 2 feet off of the rear property line, and 3 feet to 0 feet from the easterly property line. So the homeowner had obtained a permit for a proposed in-ground pool in 2021. It's permit number 210061. And during that time, when they were performing work on the pool, they constructed the patio as well as the wall. These items were not picked up on until the owner had scheduled a final inspection. And at that time, it was brought to their attention that the patio and wall were in violation. The contractor who constructed these was not aware of the requirements for the retaining wall. Typically, walls of this height, less than 30 inches, don't require permits. The wall at its highest point is actually 2 feet 4 inches, and that's only at the northeast end of the property. For the rear yard setback, at its closest point, again at the northwest end, it's holding 2 feet 8 inches off the rear, which is just a few inches shy of that 3 foot setback requirement. At the other property line, on the other side, it angles inwards and it comes off the rear line at 4'7" on the western end. The wall does end at the side property line, leaving a 0 foot side yard setback. We do have a letter from the property owner to the east, Mr. Paulino, dated November 30th, that he is in support of the application and he doesn't have any problems with the wall as it exists. So we have that to submit for you. And with regard to the 6 foot fence, at its closest point to the wall, it's 2 feet 5 inches, and then it goes to 2 feet 10 inches. Again, just shy of the setback requirement. This property abuts the Kings Park Elementary School playground at the rear. The request is not out of character for the area. I believe you have an aerial. You'll notice that there are very similar requests, and I'd like to read into the record 2 that were granted by the board, because this will not set a precedent and it will not be a detriment to the area. On January 23rd of 2018, the board granted a 0 foot side yard setback for a 4 foot wall, and that was case number 17874 at 39 Knight Lane in Kings Park. And then on October 12th, 2021, the board granted a variance to reduce the setback of a 4 foot fence to a 6 foot wall from 4 feet to 0 feet. And that was case number 18592 at 29 Bowman Lane in Kings Park. And that completes my presentation. I have all the drawings here, photographs. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, thank you very much. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thanks. No.
No, thanks.
Planning?
Oh, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Mr. Chairman, I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18619, Michael Specchio, 65 Hayrick Lane, Comac. The location of the property, the south side of Hayrick Lane, 239 feet east of Oakley Lane. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 36 feet for an existing 42 square foot front portico.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Again, Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, agent for the applicant, Mr. Specchio.
Okay, and again, all the necessary paperwork has been submitted.
Yes, it has.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're requesting permission to maintain a 10 foot by 4'6" front covered porch, reducing the front yard setback from 40 feet to 36 feet. So this home was built in 2018 under permit number 133022. And at that time, the front porch was on the construction plans that were filed with the building department. For whatever reason, this porch was overlooked and was not included in the description of the permit. There's an aerial photo that was submitted. It does show that the setback requested is in keeping with the area. All the homes are almost identical with the same setback from the street. If you look at the photographs, you can see it's not a porch. It is a very beautifully done architectural enhancement that goes over the door. There are no chairs, there's no seating. It's really just a stoop. The porch did get picked up by building when they were attempting to obtain the CO, and that is exactly how this came about. The house is currently in contract to be sold, and this is actually creating a setback with the closing. So we asked the board to look favorably upon our application. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Once again, please raise your hand if you would like to speak. And I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18620, Edward Carr, Sound Road, Fort Salonga. The location of the property is the western terminus of Sound Road. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting variances to permit construction within 100 feet of wetlands, an escarpment, or a natural surface water feature, to allow the alteration of environmentally sensitive land, steep slopes greater than 15%, and to permit construction within 10 feet of slopes greater than 25% for a proposed 156-foot long, 468 square foot stone wall.
The applicant, please.
Yes, my name is Edward Carr. I am the agent for the owners, it's actually an HOA, Homeowners Association. It's the Forest Beach Country Club, Inc. And the affidavit of mailing and affidavit of posting was submitted to the planning department and received. So I believe the paperwork is in order.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Go right ahead, Edward.
Sure. This property is located on Long Island Sound, and it's an accreting beach, or at least a stable beach. It's not an eroding one. And about 100 feet landward of the mean high water line, the Homeowners Association owns a common property beach lot that contains a storage building. It contains several decks, a parking lot above, changing rooms with bathrooms, and a stairway that goes down to the beach. During storms, which occur maybe once every 5 or 10 years, you'll have a tidal surge, and the tidal surge will cause a rise in water level, tidal water, and you'll have breakers that basically come across the 100-foot surface of the beach above the mean high water line and slam into the toe of the steep slope. It basically eats away at the toe of the slope, and that's caused several trees to come down at the start of the slope, just off the beach. So to mitigate against that, the Homeowners Association applied to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and the DEC approved a plan to put in a single row of toe stone. So even though this was described previously by, I believe, Blaze, or whoever was reading from the planning department, as a stone wall, it is a stone wall, but it's a series of 2 to 4 ton stones. They're not cemented into one another. They're basically placed as a soldier course, a single row of 2 to 4 ton stone next to one another, shoulder to shoulder, that are basically to be placed at the footing of the steep slope. And that's designed to absorb wave energy should you get another category 3, 4, or 5 hurricane or a superstorm like Sandy. It'll basically protect the toe of the steep slope to prevent the slope from getting destroyed by wave action. And that's essentially the project. And as you well know, anything within 100 feet of mean high water line requires a variance. anything that's being done on or near a steep slope over a certain pitch, 15% slope, or construction within 10 feet of slopes greater than 25% require variances, which is why we're here this evening.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Again, if you would like to speak, please hit the raise hand button. Okay, right now I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. Could I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Went through, no problem.
The next case on the agenda, case number 18621, Kurt Roth, 17 White Avenue, St. James. The location of the property is the east side of White Avenue, 300 feet north of Middle Country Road. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 11 feet, to reduce the total side yards from 28 feet to 23 feet for a proposed 240 square foot second floor addition.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Yes, hi, this is Kurt Roth. I'm the homeowner.
Okay, good evening.
Hi. Yeah, so I would like to add a second floor to my home. It's currently it's a lawful non-conforming structure. The house was built in 1950. Everything, the garage and the everything was built block at the time then. So I'm not proposing to change any distance on the side yards. I'm just planning to go up on the existing house, and that's about it.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning? Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. There are no hands raised at this time.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Blaze, before you begin, for those of you who joined us late, we did have two adjournments. The first case was case 18613, B9 Owner LLC. That has been adjourned to January 11th. And the second case is case 18479, 20 Sunken Meadow Holdings LLC. That has been adjourned to January 25th. Thank you, Blaze.
All righty, Mr. Chairman. The next case on the agenda is case number 18622, Sarah and Virginia Cocarise and Kenneth Valentine.
Chairman.
37 Sewanaka Avenue, Wisconsin. The location of the property, the west side of Sewanaka Avenue, 300 feet south of Magnolia Avenue. The property is owned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 24 feet, which is existing.
I had to be excused from this.
Okay, Bill.
Got it?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Are you done, Blaze?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. So to reduce the minimum front yard from 40 feet to 24 feet, which is existing, for a proposed 336 square foot first floor addition, reduce the setback to any rear lot line from 1 foot to 0 for existing pool paving.
Okay, can I have the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Doug Hines, Design Development Group. Mr. Ken Valentine is the applicant and would like to be sworn in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the applicant? I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's Kenneth Valentine. I'm one of the homeowners at 37 Sewanaka Avenue.
Okay, fine.
Chairman Benz, excuse me, it's Rick. Could I have the gentleman, the presenter's name again, please?
We're not there yet, Rick.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Whoever spoke first.
Yeah. Okay, Kenneth, would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Fine, thank you. Okay, Doug, can you introduce yourself? Spell your last name so we get it correct for the record and give your address, please.
Yes, indeed. My name is Doug Hines, H-Y-N-E-S, Design Development Group, Stony Brook, New York. For the applicants, Virginia, Sarah, and Kenneth, who are seeking a pretty modest front yard variance to allow a 336 square foot one-story extension to an existing one-story home. The proposed extension maintains the existing non-conforming setback, and given its one-story design, does not represent a significant impact on the neighborhood. In fact, there are two-story homes in the immediate vicinity which have more substantial impacts and should be noted for the record. Number 45, 2 doors to our north, has a 31.6 foot setback, but also features a rather imposing 2-story concrete entrance staircase, which encroaches another 7 feet into the front yard for a practical setback of 24.6 feet, essentially what we are seeking for our one-story home. Number 29, Sewanaka, 2 doors to our south, also a 2-story edifice, has 2 front yards with setbacks of 13.6 feet on both streets. Across the street are undeveloped woodlands with some unapproved structures, as I am given to understand, but these properties would not be impacted by our small addition. As to the request for a 0-foot variance for the pool pavers in the rear yard, that condition has been in place for years without complaint. No runoff affecting our good neighbors. Those pavers set in concrete and not all that easy to adjust, of course, were in place when the pool CO was approved, but the condition was not apparent until receipt of the recent survey by the town. As to the town law considerations, no substantial impact on neighboring properties since the neighborhood has similar non-conforming setbacks. The front yard variance for the addition is not substantial given the insignificant visual impact and the existing non-conforming setbacks in the neighborhood. As to alternatives, the approved in-ground pool and the existing floor plan of the house prevent the addition from being set back any further. And of course, there's no significant environmental impact. Although the front yard condition, as we propose, is not essentially self-created, as the home has a CO, and while the paver location is indeed self-created, the requested variances should not be denied for that reason alone, as permitted by the New York State town law. We are open to questions and therefore request your favorable consideration.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on the board that has any questions on this application?
Oh, thanks.
No, thanks.
No. Planning?
Oh, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
If you would like to be heard, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, I see no hands raised.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just wish you and the members of the board, the staff, Blaze and council, happy holidays. Good to see you all, and soon enough in person.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Can someone second it?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Doug. Good night.
Good evening.
The next case on the agenda, case number 18606, George DiLietto, 189 Nichols Road, Wisconsin. The location of the property is the east side of Nichols Road, 199 feet north of Lillian Road. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 7 feet, to reduce total side yards from 28 feet to 21 feet, for a proposed 24-foot by 48-foot in-ground swimming pool with 6-foot by 8-foot spa. Decrease the minimum distance from any lot line from 6 feet to 4 feet for an existing 287 square foot pool house. Permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where depth to groundwater is equal to or less than 10 feet.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Yes, this is George DeLito. I'm the homeowner.
Okay, fine, George. You tell us why you're here tonight, please?
Yes, I have Sal Kasha that's here on my behalf as well.
Oh, okay, fine. So he's going to speak for you tonight.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Could I have him, please?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm here.
Okay, you're here. Could you just state your name, spell your last name, and give the address, please, for the record?
Sure. Salvatore Coscia, COSCIA, 338 Jericho Turnpike, Syosset, New York, 11791.
Okay, go ahead, Sal.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Chairman. I'm here on behalf of Mr. DiLietto for his pool and spa and pool house. As stated earlier, we're requesting a side yard setback decrease from 12 feet to 7 feet and an aggregate of 28 feet down to 21 feet. We're also requesting a side yard setback on the pool house to go down to 4 feet, would require to 6, and the water depth, we're at 8 feet. Mr. DiLietto purchased this property in 2018, not aware that any of these items did not have permits. We filed an application to redo his pool, and this came up that he had no permits for any of these items. The items have been here for over 20 years without any issues. He has spoken to both his neighbors on the right and left of him. None of them have stated that they have any objections to the items there. This is not a self-created problem. He was not aware that they weren't permitted. He is trying to do the right thing by filing a permit to redo these items. We respectfully request your permission to move forward with this.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you. No, thanks.
No? Planning?
No, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Mr. Chairman, I see no hands raised.
Fine, thank you. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone, and happy holidays to all.
Same to you. Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18608, Jeffrey Stradinger, 2 Storybook Lane, St. James. The location of the property is the northwest corner of Storybook Lane and Pumpkin Road. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting a front yard setback from lot line from 10 feet to 0 on Pumpkin Road for a proposed 6-foot fence.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Andrew Malbonera.
Okay. Did you submit all the necessary paperwork?
Yes.
We did.
Yes,
Power of
we
attorney?
have it, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, you have it? Okay, fine.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And Andrew, can you just state your name, spell your last name so we get it correct? And give your address, please.
Yes, Andrew Malguanera, Malguarnera, 713 Main Street, Port Jefferson, agent for the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
So we went for a pool variance early this year. Applicant didn't realize they needed a variance for the fence that they were intending to build. It is a corner lot. All corner lots in the area have the similar 6-foot fence. There's no adverse effects. If the board has any questions, please let me know.
That's a dead end, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anybody on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
If you would like to be heard, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, I see no hands.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
The next case on the agenda, case number 18609, Laura and Michael Fallon, 16 Roy Drive, Wisconsin. The location of the property, the west side of Roy Drive, 764 feet south of Gagel Drive. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the rear yard from 25% to 68% for existing paving.
Okay. Before we start, planning spoke with Mr. Bill White, who's the director of buildings. As far as the denial letter goes, there is nothing going to be added to it, nor is it going to be modified. So the only thing before us tonight is the increase in paving in the rear yard. Okay, thank you. Can I have the applicant, please? Mrs. Fallon?
Hello, it's Mike and Laura Fallon. Can you hear us okay? Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear us? We're not on mute. Hello?
Hi.
We hear you.
Okay, hi, thank you. It's Mike and Laura Fallon. This was an adjournment from November. Do we still go through the reason for the variance? We do everything over again?
Well, the only thing we're going to talk about tonight
Right.
is the increase in paving from
Right.
25% to 68%.
Right.
Now, I believe you put that on the record the last time. So if you'd like to modify it or add anything to it, you can go right ahead.
Thank you. We appreciate it. There is no, we just weren't sure how to go about, do we restate our case? Everything stayed the same. We provided photos of the neighborhood, not only with the 200-foot radius, but we went, in addition to that, supplying about 30 homes that are within Roy Drive, Bob Ann, Lloyd, and Commander Vec, all of which are on our circled neighborhood, showing that what we are doing is in conformity with what other homes have already done. I've provided photos from aerial views as well as from backyard views to show how the pool and the paving was all within conformity. We believe that the initiative that we took to put the pool in, we did understand that there were some erosion issues. So we took the initiative to put pea gravel and appropriate piping to prevent any go forward erosion around the perimeter of our property at the time that the land was exposed. This was something that had not been done by previous owners in the home. So we believe taking these steps took initiative to prevent any further erosion and damage to not only our property, but aligning properties to neighbors as well as to the town property that sits behind us. We also believe that the paving, the particular stone that we used was a high-end stone. It adds value. So it not only enhanced the property value and enhanced the value of the surrounding homes as well. We also believe that because of the changes that we have made to the property, that there was no adverse impacts. If anything, the steps that we took to prevent erosion on the property was a positive. The changing of the yard to add value to not only our home, but the neighborhood, and conformed in alliance with all of the surrounding homes. I think there was 30 homes total that I sent photos of, but we conformed to the same degree that they had as well. And we used a local contractor that was helping to guide us within the designs and helping to try to conform. I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
No, so that was really it. Most of the photos and everything from the last meeting, I think you all had done a pretty deep dive during the meeting and after. I'm happy to answer any questions. Our position had stayed the same. So I don't know if there's questions that I can help with regarding the environmental steps that we took or within the paving.
Okay, I will ask.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, planning?
No, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Mr. Chairman, Vincent Tremarco, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Since Mr. White has rendered his opinion and the board apparently is ruled on what they will hear and what they won't hear, obviously there'd be no sense for my client to talk about other matters. I don't know if he'd like to speak about the 68 or so percentage on the rear yard coverage. That's Mr. Heinrich.
I'm present.
Are you going to speak, sir?
Yes, I am.
Could you introduce yourself, spell your last name, give your address for the record, please?
Arthur Heinrich, Heinrich. Address is 155 Northern Boulevard, St. James.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
So as we had discussed last time, it's not the percentage of the backyard that's paved. A, they are beautifying their property, okay? B, we don't have a problem with the 68% coverage. What we do have a problem with is the location of the raised area of the patio. There you say that.
That's not the subject of the application. This is strictly for the paving variance.
This is the part of the paved portion of the variance.
Well, it's going from 25% to 68%. I believe you just indicated you didn't have a problem with that.
Well, correct, but there's the part of the paving that it's too close to my property line. The fire pit, which is part of the paved area, is less than 6 feet to my property line, and the paved area is also less than 1 foot to my property line. When we had the meeting last time in November, on November 9th, Mrs. Fallon said that they would gladly make themselves available to allowing us to move our fence. Our fence on our property right now in the rear.
Sir,
This is not.
Please, we just want to do the paving. That's
Okay.
all we're doing tonight.
Okay, so if the gentleman could just move to the photo that I submitted today. I submitted one photo
Is it about the paving, sir?
Yes, it's the paving to the property line.
It's only the
less than-
percentage.
I think the only way that this, Mr. Heinrich, everyone here can appreciate what you're saying. However, it's not part of this application. So all you do is cloud the record when you put things on it that don't have to do with the area variance. It's not
The
a
thing is,
setback
the
variance.
reason that it's not part of the application is because the survey that you have is from 1971, and that the survey is incorrect, and the statements of where all the paving is on the property is incorrect.
Then the only thing you can do is file an application requesting an interpretation with the building, the director of the building department. We can't do that.
I cannot do the application until you guys either approve this and or Mr. White makes it part of an application.
Correct, but what you're doing is clouding this record with information that isn't pertinent to the record.
Okay, so it also limits my time to do an Article 78. I would have to do an Article 78 and an interpretation application at the same time, because you may approve the 68%. And then I would have to do a combination of the two things because of this situation.
The board members can't issue legal advice. You're gonna really need to, again, this is not proper for the record. This has nothing to do with the percentage of paving. You should really consult with Mr. Trimarco offline about what you're going to be doing afterward.
Okay.
All right.
That's
all
all.
right. All right, Mr. Heinrich?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak on this application?
Anybody else would like to be heard, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, I see no other hands raised at this time.
Fine, thank you. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm sorry, I was muted. The next case on the agenda, case number 18623, Brock Land Holdings LLC, 385 Oser Avenue,
I knew you weren't going to get anyone.
Mr. Trimarco, you're not muted.
You have to understand, they made.
Thank you, Karen.
Start all over, please.
Start over?
What's the case number?
Okay. Case number 18623, Brock Land Holdings LLC, 385 Oser Avenue, Hauppauge. The location is the south side of Oser Avenue, 2,088 feet west of Adams Avenue. The property is zoned LI. The applicant is requesting a special exception to permit outdoor storage in the LI zoning district, a variance of a standard to permit outdoor storage to exceed 10% of the gross floor area to 20%, a variance to reduce the minimum setback of a retaining wall from 3 feet to 2 feet, a variance to reduce the setback of outdoor storage from 10 feet to 2 feet, a variance requiring the reduction of required parking from 75 stalls to 33 stalls, and a variance to reduce the minimum parking setback from the property line from 6 feet to 2 feet.
The applicant, please.
Mr. Chairman, Paul Cataldo, architect for the applicant.
Okay. Did you submit all the necessary paperwork?
Postings and mailings have been submitted, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. You submit a power of attorney?
No, sir. The expediter, Ms. Rowan, is under the weather and I'm unable to make it. I'm the architect on the account, and my client, Mr. Seeberger, is here.
Oh, the owner's here.
Yes, the owner is here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I have the owner first, please?
Yes, sir. Bud Seeberger.
Okay, sir, just state your name and give your address, please.
Arthur Seeberger, 385 Oser Avenue.
Okay, Arthur, would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, Paul, again, could you just introduce yourself, spell your last name so we get it correct for the record, and give your address, please?
Yes. Paul Cataldo, architect, Cataldo, 28 Tall Tree Lane, Rocky Point, New York, 11778.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
So we are asking for relief on parking, exterior storage, and proximity of retaining walls to the property line. The property exists in the Hauppauge Industrial Park. All the adjacent properties and everything in the entire area is L1. We seek relief on these items simply to be able to utilize the property to the best aspects for New York Hydronic, FW Sims. They are one of the largest mechanical contractors on the East Coast. I know it's a privilege to work for them and do American manufacturing here on Long Island. The relief does not have any impact on any of the neighbors. All three sides adjacent to this property are also light industrial properties that use their property in ways that, as it is intended, as we are intending to use this. We have in this building the maximum of 15 employees. We're providing 30 stalls, which more than provides even on the heaviest day of visitors, which allows the remainder of our site to allow the large tractor trailers, which are typical in this area, delivering to every building, maneuverability to get on the site and to facilitate the completion of the 20-ton crane that traverses inside the building to out to pick loads off of that trailer. I'm open to any questions and look forward to the relief. Thank you.
Okay. We were at the site this morning. I guess the object of these variances is to clean up the site?
Absolutely. It provides the site the organization that it needs. As you know, there's a triangular shaped pea gravel area that it serves no purpose, and we would like to use that for parking. And that area that is adjacent is 10, 15 feet of alleyway or just open site to the next building. So there's nothing between our parking and the next building, but about 10, 15 feet of property, half ours, half theirs. That property won't be utilized for anything. So we feel that this configuration, A, fits the site in the context of the neighborhood, and B, provides New York Hydronics with the operability to use the site that they need to do the incredible work that they do.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on the board that has any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Planning?
Mr. Chairman, the Planning Department prepared a planning advisory report, and after reviewing the application, we recommended approval of the requests.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board.
Okay, 1 second. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak on this application?
Anybody would like to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, I see no hands.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Can I have
you.
a Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion
Aye.
carried. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board.
Thank you very much.
The next application on the agenda is case number 18617, West End Beach Street LLC, 1083 Jericho Turnpike, Comac. The location of the property is the northwest corner of Jericho Turnpike and Syracuse Boulevard. The property is zoned WSI. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the front yard setback on Syracuse Boulevard for an existing 4-foot-high retaining wall from 4 feet to 0. To reduce the front yard setback on Syracuse Boulevard from 25 feet to 16 feet for existing outdoor storage. A variance of a standard to increase the amount of outdoor storage from 2 times the gross floor area to 8 times the gross floor area, which is existing. To permit existing structures constructed, enlarged, altered, or replaced within 10 feet of any slope higher than 5 feet and having a slope greater than 25% or within the flood hazard zone.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Good
Hello?
evening, Jose Fernandez, the applicant.
Okay, are you the owner, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Again, just state your name and address for the record.
Jose Fernandez, 1095 Jericho Turnpike, Comac, New York.
Okay, great. Would you like to tell us why you're here tonight, sir?
Yes, so we applied for 3 variances for the retaining wall in an area of slope with slope greater than 25%. Another variance to increase the outdoor storage from 2 times the gross floor area to 8 times the gross floor area. And the third variance to decrease the front yard setback for outdoor storage from 25 to 16 feet. We purchased this property in 2017. It's a mixed-use property on the corner of Jericho Turnpike and Syracuse. And we immediately began cleaning it up of overgrown vegetation and abandoned debris left behind by the previous owner through the years of neglect. We were soon made aware that the property had some code violations, which we want to correct immediately through the request of these variances. Each of the requested variances are reasonable as follows. The variance would not produce any impact on adjacent properties or the neighborhood because work is isolated to the interior of the parcel, which is completely screened by vegetation. The request is not substantial because due to the minimal square footage of the retaining wall and site affected by storage and setback change requested. The benefit cannot be achieved by any alternative because the retaining wall is needed to stabilize a slope and site space limitations. The variance would not cause any adverse effect on the environment or neighbors because the retaining wall will stabilize an existing slope and other activity is limited to the site interior and will be screened. All the existing shrubbery remains in place. Anyone who drives up and down Syracuse Boulevard can clearly see the yard is not visible from the street or adjacent properties. The difficulty was created by the former owner who had used it as an accessory yard for many years prior to us purchasing. And the former owner abandoned the site and left it to become overgrown and unfinished to code requirements. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Our engineer, Bob Brown from Land Designs Associates, is also on the call, and I'd like to turn it over to him if you have any questions.
Oh, okay. Is he going to speak?
Bob Brown, I believe he's up on the call somewhere. No?
No?
Oh, there he is.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
There I am, I'm back.
Okay, Mr. Brown, could you just introduce yourself, spell your last name so we get it correct for the record, and give your address, please?
Robert Brown, Land Design Associates, 350 Motor Parkway, Suite 206, Hopog, New York.
Okay,
My
fine, thank
last
you.
name is Brown.
Okay,
I think Mr. Fernandez, as we prepared for the presentation, made a pretty succinct description of the situation. Just to take the items again, the retaining wall is to stabilize the slope that exists and extend a retaining wall that will protect that slope from eroding. The setback on Saragusa is a setback for outdoor storage that would be reduced from 25 to 16 feet. And the outdoor storage would be increased from two times to 8 times the floor area of the building.
all right. Okay, thank you.
If you have any questions, I'm here.
Okay, does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
Yeah, do we have plans that show where the outdoor storage is going to be located? Is it that yellow section?
That would be it, yes.
So
I believe it's on the screen currently.
yeah, that's what I'm. I guess what is the outdoor storage for?
The outdoor storage would be for equipment and landscaping trucks.
So just so it's not just goods. It's it's the entire operation.
Yes. No, it would be parking for trucks, commercial trucks, probably landscaper, which is who previously occupied it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the board have any questions?
Thank you.
All right, planning?
Just a couple of pieces of information, Mr. Chairman. Number one, certainly planning would recommend that landscaping be conditioned as part of any approval that the board may grant. I don't know if we have photos that show the front of the building along Jericho Turnpike. Matt, if you could bring those up on the screen. When you do look at the building from Jericho Turnpike, you can see nothing but a sea of asphalt and concrete. There is no landscaping along the front of the building. If you do look along Jericho Turnpike to the west and east, you will see that other developed sites usually have at least a grass strip in between the curb and the sidewalk. We would certainly recommend that something like that be done in the front of the building. Additionally, earlier today, the chairman and I did an inspection of the site. And as you can see in this photo and a few other photos we have, the front and side of the property is overrun with bamboo. As the board members are aware, bamboo is a prohibited plant in the town ordinance. Planning would certainly recommend that before any decision be made on this application, that the applicant remove all of the bamboo in its entirety to ensure that it will not come back. As you can see in that photo, it's encroaching on the adjacent property owner's property. And once the area has been cleared of the bamboo, the board could then at that point render some kind of a decision how they want to vote on the application. Certainly, we would recommend that when it goes to the Board of Site Plan Review, that the Board of Site Plan Review will require plantings in the front yard and along the slope going up from Jericho Turnpike to the top of the outdoor storage area to screen it from view from Jericho Turnpike and the adjacent property.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Again, please raise your hand if you would like to speak. I'm seeing no hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hernandez, everything all right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Okay, fine. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18614, Pristine Properties USA LLC, also known as Mitsubishi, 1158 Jericho Turnpike, Comac. The location of the property is the south side of Jericho Turnpike, 400 feet east of Mayfair Terrace. The property is zoned WSI. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the amount of outdoor storage from 3 times to 4 times the gross floor area, to eliminate the required landscape islands within parking for proposed 15,166 square foot, 2-story addition to an existing 5,270 square foot car dealership.
Okay, can I have the applicant, please?
Certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
Now I can.
Okay.
Are you the owner, sir?
No, I am the owner's representative. So I'm Keith Brown. The law firm is Brown, Altman and DeLeo, LLP, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West, Melville, New York, 11747.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Town of Smithtown Board of Zoning Appeals. I want to thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. I'm here tonight with respect to Pristine Property USA's application for building variances for the proposed expansion of the existing motor vehicle showroom and minor repair facility, and the addition of supplemental vehicle inventory storage at the property located at 1158 Jericho Turnpike in Comac, New York. All mailings and postings for the hearing were performed in accordance with the town code, and the affidavits of posting, of mailing, and the green and white postmarked receipt stamps from the United States Post Office and return receipt cards were submitted to the planning department prior to this meeting as required by the town code. By way of background, the property is located on the south side of Jericho Turnpike, approximately 400 feet east of Mayfair Terrace. It's zoned WSI, Wholesale and Service Industry District. In fact, the entire corridor of Jericho Turnpike spanning from Mayfair Terrace to Bridge Ranch Road is zoned WSI. The uses of the neighboring parcels are substantially similar to the applicant's proposed expanded motor vehicle showroom and increased outdoor vehicle inventory and storage. To the north of the property is a strip mall consisting of a barber shop, liquor store, ice cream shop, restaurant, and clothing store. To the east of the property is the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, fast food restaurant, and the Mayfair Shopping Center. And to the west of the property is the Alcamo Granite Showroom and Supplier. Abutting the property to the south is a residential neighborhood. As far as the basis for relief, Pristine Properties USA recently completed phase 1 of this project, which was approved by the town in 2020. Phase 1 encompassed the redevelopment of a motor vehicle showroom and outdoor storage on the northern portion of the parcel. The applicant is now proposing to add approximately 15,000 square feet of outdoor vehicle storage on the southern portion of the 380 square foot parcel as part of the phase 2 of the development of this property. The site has adequate space for additional storage, and the motor vehicle inventory storage area will have a wide buffer to shield it from the residential neighborhood to the south. As you know, the code permits 3 times the gross floor area of the property to be used for outdoor vehicle storage, which would be 61,167 square feet in this instance. The applicant is requesting 76,356 square feet of the property to be used for outdoor storage. And the variances requested here are only an additional 15,000 square feet of the approximately 180,000 square foot lot to be used for supplemental vehicle storage. Prior to tonight, we submitted 2 decisions of record granted by this board. The first one I'd like to point out is the Audi of Smithtown, located 578 Middle Country Road, case number 17526, dated May 25th of 2016. And this board granted the variance for outdoor storage from 3 times the building area to 5 times. In addition, there's a second decision submitted to the board as prior precedent for the Smithtown Kia That is located at 726 Middle Country Road, just east of Lake Avenue in Smithtown. That case number is 2-17893, and the decision was dated September 12th of 2018. That particular variance granted by this board allowed an increase of outdoor storage and vehicle showroom from 3 times the building area to 12 times. At the time, there was already an existing variance approval for 10 times the existing gross floor area. With regard to the second variance that's requested tonight, that came as a result of conversations with the town planning department. The variances requested herein are similar to those, if not other motor vehicle dealerships in and around the Smithtown area, particularly along Jericho Turnpike and Middle Country Road. We are also asking for, the removal of the required landscape islands to assist with municipal snow removal. The applicant is complying with requests from the town planning department and requests that this board approve the same. Other than that, that really completes our testimony. We have this evening in the Zoom call our Gad Ashori, our project engineer. We have Richard Ignatow, RA, our landscape architect, and as well as Michael Shakui, our representative from Pristine Properties USA. So with that, I'll open up to any questions that the board may have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
How large is the buffer in the rear to the residence?
25 feet.
25?
Correct.
At one time, wasn't it 50?
No, this buffer, you can see from the photo that's in front of you that the hill behind comes down to a paved area, and that paved area is the same as it's been for quite some time now.
All those trees that you show in your rendering, they're not there now.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, it's just vacant area.
Right. The applicant's contractor went back in May, was out there, and they were doing work, and they removed the trees in that rear portion. Correct.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions on the application?
Not at this time.
Okay. Planning?
Sorry, thank you. I was muted. Couple of pieces of information for everyone. So planning never objects to anybody increasing outdoor storage as long as the requests are reasonable and obviously the setbacks and the buffers that are required are met. Just to give you some quick information about what's happened on this site over the course of this past year. Apparently, the applicant wished to increase the amount of on-site storage and went into the rear of the property to the south side along the property boundary and cleared all of the trees and vegetation that were growing at the top of the slope. Now you can see what you have is a bare slope. You can see the homes behind the car dealership. And this was done also in addition to that, the slope itself was regraded. Matt, if you could bring up the aerial that shows what the buffer looked like before it was touched, please. So if you look at the buffer prior to it being cleared and regraded, you can see it's almost in line with the property to the east of it, which is known as Alcamo Pools. That buffer is currently about 50 feet in depth. And the new buffer that's been created from the clearing and regrading is now approximately 25 feet. While there's only a requirement to have a 25-foot buffer in the WSI zoning district to the residential district, the buffer that was existing was basically cut in half. In addition to that, any trees and vegetation that was buffering the residences to the south was completely removed. In doing that, the applicant increased the amount of outdoor storage or the potential for the amount of outdoor storage in their rear yard. Another piece of information in the call of the meeting If you recall, I said that the existing building is about 5,000 square feet and that the applicant's proposing to do additions, which would probably bring the size of the building up to approximately 20,000 square feet. Apparently, when the outdoor storage was being calculated, I believe it was calculated based on what the proposed size of the building would be and not the existing building that's there now. If you take into consideration how much outdoor storage would be created in the rear yard, the number is substantially more than 4 times the amount of the gross floor area of the existing building. That's it.
All right, thank you. I know there's a number of people that want to speak on this application. What we're going to do, you're going to come in one at a time. You're going to state your concerns. We're going to write them down. When everybody has spoken, everybody gets one turn. Everybody's going to speak, and then we'll bring the applicant to come back to answer your concerns, and then we'll close the meeting after that. Okay, so can we have the first person, please?
I did. They have to tell us who it is.
Hello? Hello?
Who is the first person?
Well,
Donna and Frank?
That would be myself, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Donna,
Okay, my name is Donna Dietlich, Detelich. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, Frank. We reside at 5 Tulip Lane in Comac, New York.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are on the street, which butts up against the south end of the property of the applicant. This applicant back in May, this area, that the picture that you're looking at right now, he went without the town's permission and removed trees and bushes, which provided not only privacy, but a sound barrier from Jericho Turnpike. At that time, I called the town planning board. I asked for someone to go to the property and they put a stop work order in. There was no permission at that time for that work that they were doing to be done on that border.
They ripped up a lot of trees.
They took out, I cannot even tell you. What I did do was I forwarded to the planning board an email, 2 separate emails. One was our concerns and the other was pictures. One was from the front stoop of my property at night to show you how well we see Jericho, pristine properties. We see it all. His property and Jericho lights up our street to no tomorrow. The other pictures I sent to you were from when I stood at Northgate Shopping Center in front of the liquor store, RX Express, Lemon Tree. I stood there and wanted to show you just how exposed we are to Jericho Turnpike. We're a sitting duck. A lot of the storms we receive in the winter are from the north. And when that wind comes up there, we're wide open now. We have nothing. You got that, Frank? We have absolutely nothing. We have lost our privacy. We have lost a sound barrier. We have tried to be a good neighbor to this applicant as well, because prior to all of this work, at the end of our street, there's a fence. And there were teenagers going down onto his property because his fence that he had up was ridiculous. It wasn't even worth. You could push through it. A child could push through it. He had people loitering on his property. He had people going littering, loitering, partying, doing whatever. My husband and the neighbor across the street went and addressed this gentleman. Oh no, I want to be a good neighbor. He put a piece of fence in that literally just goes from curb to curb. It doesn't do the rest of his property on either side of the streets for either residence. It's ridiculous. I am hoping that the photos I sent in my email are a permanent part of that record so that once this goes past this board meeting, whoever else is going to determine this will see exactly what we're dealing with. He originally, the first variance he applied for was for a small property. Now we're going for much larger. I find it unacceptable to be paying the taxes we pay in the town of Smithtown, to be lacking privacy and a sound barrier and the town of Smithtown protecting us from information like this being allowed. I thank you all very much for your time.
Okay, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Who's next?
My name's Tom Schulteis. I'm at 27 Astor Court.
Tom,
And
can
I
you
would
spell your last name so we get it correct,
Yeah.
please?
SCHULTEISS.
Thank you.
So I would like to add that the day, I did notice for a couple of weeks, he had his equipment staged to the side where you can see it in this photo. And the day that he came out, it was a Saturday morning. He came out and that backhoe went in and started removing the land and the trees were falling down. I drove over to the Mitsubishi dealership. I asked the guy, I talked to the general manager because the owner wasn't there. He told me he didn't know what was going on. I said, well, that's nice. You're the general manager. You don't know what's going on. He did it on a Saturday morning, so it would give him extra time to do his dirty work. Okay, this guy cannot be trusted. I asked that the town require that he puts back the trees and the land that he removed because he did it without permission. I don't know, maybe the town could tell me, did he stop work when you guys gave him the stop work order? He could have been fined, you might have fined him, but obviously it wasn't enough. And the town really should relook at how they fine people so it makes them really stop and think about what they're gonna do, because this kind of thing has been going on in the town for 20 years. Wherever you have a hill with residential property, industry has been going in and tearing the property down all over the town. I would suggest a property tax penalty, a very large number, like 30%. And let's see if these guys continue to do this. Anyway, so there's supposed to be at least a 10-foot wide protective planting strip, which doesn't exist. Well, he had no intention of putting that in. I'm not sure what he will do after, when he comes to you with his quote plan. Who knows what he's going to end up doing? So I really don't have any more to say on that. My wife is here. She might want to say a few words.
Hello, my name is Susan Schulteis. I live at 27 Astor Court in Comac. I actually went out into my backyard and I was watching the construction take down the massive trees. I'm beside myself. It was beautiful. We had wildlife, we had trees. I can see right clear across Jericho now. And it's disgusting and it's appalling. And it never should have happened. And I agree with my husband. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, who's next?
Hello, my name
Hello.
is Denise Cinque, Cinque. I reside at 29 Astor Court. And my concern is the quality of life. When I first moved here, I loved spending time in my backyard. I could not hear anything. I would look at the trees. Now I have no trees. I hear everything that goes on in Jericho Turnpike, every car that passes by, every siren. And when I go to sleep at night, I do not need a nightlight because I could see all the lights on Jericho Turnpike because of all the buildings there and all the businesses. I never was able to see any of that. And that's absolutely horrible that I have to get dark out curtains and I could still see lights from Jericho Turnpike. So I would request that they put back trees so this way we have a better quality of life as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Denise. All right, who's next?
Hi, I'm Alex Kaminsky. I live with my wife Megan at 2 Tulip Lane. We are the corner house. We are across the street and a little diagonal from my neighbors who spoke previously, Donna and Frank Dedelich. Sorry if I butchered your name, neighbors.
Excuse me, Alex. Can you just spell your last name so we get it correct on the record, please?
It's Kaminski, and we're at 2 Tulip Lane on the corner of Astor Court and Tulip Lane.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I also, just as a note, I'm also an attorney. I have spoken with some of my neighbors, Frank Florio, Florio. He is the end house that abuts the property that is seeking the variance. He has authorized me also to speak on his behalf. And my other neighbor is Bill Campisi. He is located at 4 Tulip Lane, and he has also authorized me to speak on his behalf. So we, as neighbors, all gather this weekend to speak about this issue because it is very important to us. My wife and I, Megan, bought our house in 2017. When we bought the house, we bought a cape, and we're planning on doing a significant amount of work to the cape. We have the upstairs of our house currently gutted, so we haven't utilized the upstairs in some time. We just recently, I was putting up the Christmas lights, and I was on the second floor for the first time in a long time, and I could not believe the amount that we can see as onto Jericho Turnpike and into the lot that we could not see when we brought the property. When we do the work, we're going to be staring at Mitsubishi and Jericho Turnpike, as opposed to when we bought the house when we had nice cover. Mitsubishi, the pristine properties, the applicant here removed mature trees and left up one dead tree. The entire cover that we had before Jericho Turnpike and Mitsubishi is completely gone. My wife hears everything. I'm fortunate enough to be deaf in one ear, so when I put my right ear on the pillow, I don't hear anything. My wife hears every single thing every single night. It's appalling the amount, the difference in the wind that we have now. There is no wind cover. It's already been a windy block because it's a dead end. The block now, if we hear on the news that we're getting significant wind, it's a hurricane on our block. It's incredible the amount of wind that we get on our block as compared to anywhere I've ever lived on Long Island. The changes from when we bought the house to now as a result of what they've already done is appalling, and we can't fathom the idea of looking at a monstrous structure that they're planning on building. And I would note, by way of what the planning board individual stated earlier, it appears that the application that Pristine Properties is making, that they're here for tonight, would not even grant them the authority to build what they want to build, based on the fact that he already clearly stated that what they want to build is not the amount, it far exceeds the amount they're saying it is for storage. They're putting in a variance to build 3 to 4 times of what they already have, and the planning board member already made it clear that it's going to far exceed that. So to the extent that that is true, even if they are granted the variance here tonight, it's not going to allow them to build what they want to build. For all the reasons that my neighbors and I have already stated, we have a lot of concerns. We do not believe that they should be permitted to get this variance and build what they want to build until they at least provide us with some cover. And I can also tell you that my neighbor, Frank Florio, who I mentioned already, at I believe his address is 7 Tulip Lane.
Yeah.
He indicated to me that when they were taking down the trees they took down already, that somebody from the property approached his wife and told them in no uncertain terms they would be replacing it with a wind barrier and a barrier where we would not be able to see. That has yet to happen, and we're now 6 to 7 months later. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, Alex, thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Go. Yes, hi.
Who's going to speak first?
I'll go first really quick. My name is Dylan Mohammed, first name Dillon, last name Mohamed, and I reside at 25 Astor Court. Part of the reason why we moved to Comac in this beautiful area was, to get away from Queens and to get away from all the noise and the construction that we already lived in. And the fact that we kind of moved in recently within 2 months and this is kind of being planned, we're a little bit disappointed at this time, and I kind of feel the frustrations of everyone in the neighborhood. We too feel that there should be pause and they should at least attempt to replant trees and make the neighborhood beautiful again. Just keeping it short. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dylan. Who's the other person that would like to speak?
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Could you state your name, please? Spell your last name?
Yes, my name is Andrew. Last name Quue. I reside at 29 Mr. Court, Comac.
Okay, Andrew, what's your concerns?
My main concern, what's going on here, Board, is a travesty of justice to our community and the good long-term taxpayers of Smithtown. This company has total disregard for the laws of our town of Smithtown and total disregard for our residents. As was stated prior, they came in on a Saturday, blatantly breaking the law, aware of what they were doing to illegally remove this barrier trees, with no intention of your stop order. They continued, and I observed this after the stop order, their bulldozer with the backhoe continued to work, continued to decimate this property. We all bought our properties here in this town with the contingency of a barrier between the woods and our homes and the commercial property on Jericho Turnpike, which has not happened. The horns of their alarms on these cars go off. Besides the lights in the place, forget about what's going on with the other buildings or the traffic on Jericho Turnpike. You hear it. I am literally 3 houses down of this, and I see it like I can. It's like Emmett's Field, the Field of Dreams. I can play baseball in my backyard if I want, and I would cordially invite any one of you representatives there on the board to come visit, come by for a cup of coffee, and I will show you what transpires. And that's all I have to say. Also, I want to put it on record with all my neighbors as well, that this is depreciating your property values for my residents here. And what I would do, read your taxes, and then you'll see when the town gets hurt in the pocket, okay, because that's going to depreciate the value. The closer you are to commercial property, that will change everybody's mind. That's all I have to say, board. And thank you so much for your time and listening.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Is there anyone else? Jeff, anyone else out there?
I'm not seeing any other hands. Once again, if you want to speak, please raise your hand. All right, Mr. Chairman, there doesn't appear to be anyone else.
Okay, fine. We're going to bring back the applicant now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, I can understand the neighbor's frustration. I will tell you that we have our landscape architect online, who I'll ask him to speak in a moment. The owners have every indication of replanting trees along that southern and western boundary line. I just want to address something that Mr. Kaminsky said before when he approached the people that were doing the work and the owner of the property. They indicated that they planned to replant the area. And my records show that the stop work order was issued on May 28th of this year, and that there was no additional work after the stop work order was generated by town code enforcement. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Ignatow. Richard, if you could.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you introduce yourself? Spell your last name.
I am Richard Ignatow, landscape architect, 91 Green Street, Huntington, New York. Licensed in New York State. Obviously, we are aware of what was
I'm
there.
sorry, could you please repeat it, please?
What, my name?
For the court reporter, he needs to
Yes.
see your address.
91 Green Street, Huntington, New York. Is that fine?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, sir.
All right, let me try this again. I get closer to the speaker. Excuse me. Richard Ignatow, landscape architect, 91 Green Street, Huntington, New York.
That's much better, by the way.
Okay, I'm close to the speaker now. We're aware, obviously, what happened, although I was not involved in this prior to the clearing. I do know from the photographs and my inspection of the site that the vast majority of the vegetation that was there was mature trees, but they were all deciduous. So that at least for 6 months of the year, they had no leaves. You could see right through them. Having said that, the proposal is to plant a row of evergreens at the very top where they have the most impact, positive impact for the adjacent neighbors on the west side and on the south side. It is a row of evergreens, 8 feet apart, standard planting, that over time will screen the neighbors all year from the activity down below. We are also stabilizing the slope, putting shrubs in there with the intent of having it go back to a forest in the long run. But you will always have, excuse me, the evergreen buffer at the top. And that is what we feel is an appropriate way to make amends, if you want to call it that, for what occurred.
Mr. Aiken,
Also effectively,
tell the board members and the neighbors, what's the maximum height that those evergreens will reach?
well, eventually it's a combination of Western arborvitae, Leland cypress, not Leland cypress, Western arborvitae, Japanese cedar, and Eastern red cedar. And they will eventually be up to heights of 40, 50 feet. A couple of years, obviously, but they will immediately, within 5 years, they'll be up to 10, 15 feet high.
And all those trees are approved species to be used by the town planning department?
Yes, we try to use as much native as possible. I know that's a concern of the planning department. So we mix those with some trees that are introduced. They're very effective. Japanese cedar, very effective screen. But the others are indigenous.
So just to be clear, we're talking about the entire area along the western boundary line, going along from the corner all the way across the southern boundary line.
That is correct, adjacent to all the neighbors.
Okay.
And then shrubbery down below.
And I was just going to ask about, with regard to the shrubbery down below, and that'll extend to a distance of 25 feet from the boundary line?
That is correct. And that is to stabilize the hill. That will have no impact. In the short run, it'll have no impact on the neighbors. It's the evergreens along the top, which have the most positive impact for the adjacent homeowners.
When do you think this project will start? So the neighbors have some idea.
As soon as possible now. It is conceivable that we could put the trees in come spring of this year. You can't do it now. It's too late to be planting. But certainly first thing in the spring, March, April, as soon as trees are being dug in nurseries, they will be put in first thing. That would be the first thing we would do. Put them along the top, have the most impact, positive impact.
Okay. When they go in, what's the height when they go in?
They're going in at 6 to 8 and 5 to 6. It's a combination. Try to make it look more natural.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
And then, Mr. Chairman, I just noticed in the chat there's some comments. So until the site plan, once the stop work order was issued, they were not permitted to do any further work. So they couldn't go in and just start planting trees. They would need the site plan approval in order to resume activities and plant the trees in accordance with an approved site plan by the town Board of Site Plan Review. So I just wanted to clarify that for some of the neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir. We think that at the end of the day that, you know, compared to what was there, the former hardware store and law office, with the capital improvements that were being made previously in phase 1 and now the new phase 2, that by the time they're all said and done, this property will look 100% better from what was there and be, you know, a nice addition to the area on Jericho Turnpike.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Can I have the gentleman spell his last name?
Ignatow.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
We can just make one comment for the record.
No.
They are proposing.
We're closing.
We're not closing yet. We didn't, he voiced his opinion. Why can't we speak back on what he said, sir?
Because at the beginning, I indicated everybody gets one opportunity to speak. We list your concerns, the applicant comes back, he voices his concerns and answers yours, and then we close it. That's
I
why we're doing it.
understand that, sir, but you know what? Based on what they're saying and what they're going to provide is not what we were told by the planning board should be provided. That's a concern.
We're also very thankful that they're going to provide relief to
The record's been closed. We can't take any additional information.
Nothing's going on the record now.
Wow, they just don't want to hear the end of the story. They just.
There is a motion pending. That's, the problem is there's a motion pending.
I'm glad that our neighbors that will live in our houses in 10 years will get relief and we won't.
Excuse me, none of this is on the record. There was a motion to close and it was seconded.
There's a motion, wait a minute. There's a motion to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a nice holiday. Take care, everyone.
You do the same. And that concludes our meeting for tonight.